Welcome to the Fox 17 Rockin' Review. I'm hanging out with Andy Powers, the master designer at Taylor Guitars. And you know what? I'm a big fan of Taylor Guitars, as you know. And you and I have talked at the NAMM shows. And I really appreciate you coming on the Rockin' Review because I know how busy you are building guitars.
Thanks for having us.
You know, and it's so neat because you've done some unique innovations with the guitars, Andy, to where, you know, you haven't just taken, you know, what has been done before, which Bob did great, you know, but now you've taken things a step further, particularly with the 600 series.
Yeah, well, for us, my desire as a guitar builder is to make a really musically useful instrument to put into the hands of players so that they can go make their artwork. Now that's something that's near and dear to me, but these days it's not enough to just make a great guitar. There has to be other reasons for that instrument to live.
Definitely.
So in the case of these instruments, our 600 series guitars, as we look forward 20, 30 years into the future and look at the condition of the forests, I can be confident that domestic maple is something, well, that's something I'll have. That's something I can count on. Those are well-managed forests. They're sustainably harvested, even propagated specifically for guitar usage.
Well, I think what you've done also, you know, we had some great beauty shots of the 600 series you're holding, is that, you know, you've taken the maple and made it not only sound better, but more visually appealing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guitar player. I like to play an appealing looking guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and my thought was, well, if I'm going to use more maple, I want to make a really appealing guitar for someone.
Definitely.
I don't want it to have a certain like eating your vegetables kind of feel.
Right.
I want it to be compelling and fun to play, fun to look at.
You know, and you know, some of the innovations, you know, that you've done, you know, with the glues, and also with the bracing that you've changed up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As part of this, I like to design a guitar that's a real cohesive whole. And so sometimes that means real modern technology, sometimes it means reaching into the instrument building past.
Right.
So I'm using, you know, real traditional protein-based glues, ultra thin finishes that you would see on a violin, but put into a modern context. Because that way I can blend the old and new and provide an instrument to players that really speaks well.
Yeah, and the payoff is in the tone, you know, and that's what, you know, and we were talking about the details and everything. I don't know, you know, you're holding the 600, I'm holding a 900, and you've updated both of these, including the 800 series too last year. And I'll tell you what I think sounds incredible too is the new electronic system that you put in.
It is
the ES2.
The ES2, that was a real breakthrough for us because for the first time since guitars have been, or at least acoustic guitars have been amplified, I've got something that has way more dynamic range, way more touch sensitivity, and a real reliability factor that I haven't seen in an acoustic guitar before.
I totally agree, you know, and what I noticed playing through the ES2 system is that it really opens up the headroom. I don't feel like you get the clipping, you don't get the brittleness of tone. It sounds warmer. It sounds more like a mic'd guitar.
It is. It's a lot closer to that. And one of the challenges with an acoustic guitar pickup is that the sound you hear from an acoustic guitar doesn't really live in or on the guitar itself.
Exactly.
So you're doing your best to try and gather that sonic information off of the instrument and present that to the listener. So in this case, this was a real step forward for us.
Oh, definitely advancements. You know, and I think what's great about the Taylor Guitar Company as well, Andy, is that not only are you guys taking care of professional musicians and a lot of huge musicians play your instruments, but you also look at growing the guitar players with like the Baby Taylor model that we have down here, which has been hugely popular, but you guys added electronics into this one now.
We did. You know, to me, music is too important to leave up to the professionals. It's way too important for that. And so I like to make that accessible to kids, beginning players, even a seasoned pro who wants a travel guitar
or a songwriting guitar for Nashville.
Yeah, songwriting guitar, whatever it might be. So in this case, we've recently upgraded this guitar with a built-in tuner, just to help ease that learning curve of getting into playing an instrument.
I think it's a great idea, and you know, the same thing with the GS Mini, which also a lot of songwriters here in Nashville use. You know,
absolutely.
You've added in the electronics to that as well.
Yeah, it's a solid little guitar. I find that even many pro players are purchasing those guitars to have for specific usages.
Exactly.
Some guys will set them up as a Nashville high strung or with a nut extender for a lap style guitar, all kinds of fun stuff. The bottom line is it's a great little guitar to have around.
It really is, you know, and that's why I like it, you know, about your entire Taylor line is that there's, you know, there's an instrument for everybody. Like you and I were talking about 12 strings earlier, you know, and it's like you guys are always building something unique. And to me, it's always fun to see what you're coming up with. And a lot of the designs are obviously from you.
It is. They all start on my workbench with my chisels and hand planes.
I love that. Now, what is the website to where viewers can go and check out all of these guitars and, you know, the new innovations and everything?
Go to taylorguitars.com and you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, Andy, I appreciate you joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And be sure and check out the new Taylor guitars. You know, they've always built great instruments, and I think the new ones that are coming out now, such as the 600, the 900, and the additions to the Baby Taylor are just great stuff for all players of all ages. Thanks for watching the Fox 17 Rockin' Review.